earlier, mid thought. Um, we're going to continue where we left off for quick stream just so we can follow up. Uh, try and do some VR dev like I planned. Uh, we'll see if Unity's going to cooperate. I'll show you what I got done on another machine earlier to prep for this. So let's get going. All right, so we're back in Unity. Um, kick off loading Rider up because I haven't opened it back up. Let's see. I need to check one thing first. Project settings, not project settings, properties, preferences. Yeah, that one. And then external tools. What happened here? Writer is messed up. Let's go back and check over here. Oh, I thought I had this up. We're going to try anyway. JetBrains Writer editor is somewhat up to date. I think there's a .27 of this. Let's go ahead and update this in case you haven't done this before. Packages, manifest. This is where your package manager actually puts the entries for your manifest. It's in this packages manifest file. And we're going to manually bump up the writer version. Doesn't even show up in here. Probably because I got it installed as a feature. But we want to actually force this. I believe there is a 3.0.27 now. Change that. We'll go back into Unity. It'll detect changes in the manifest file and it'll update. And we're on 3.0.27. Hopefully there's not another update. I don't know why that update didn't show up. So now let's go back to project. Actually, preferences. There we go. So you saw we had this weird issue where writer was something internal. It was in a weird state, but I think it should work now. So if you're having writer issues, that's one potential way to fix it. Reference to flight path. There we go. All right. So while I was offline, I don't need that. I was working on a way to basically have our ship follow a path. Because what we want to do here in the stream, in this last 30-40 minute stream, is to actually get it set up so we can drag out a path in VR space with our controller. So I did all the lead up work to set up Unity splines. It was a little less straightforward than I was hoping. It took a while to figure out how to get it to follow a curve by generating a spline in C#. I think I've got it now. So if I hit play on this, we can see what's going on. Let's see, we've got a ship loaded. And the waypoint spawner. All right, so I'll turn on our waypoint spawner. Back into the scene view. now I should be able to drag this out, and you'll see we've got this path forming. Now this is going to be the path, the flight path of our ship. So I'm just dragging out this path, and if you can imagine in VR, it's basically going to be a handle that we're going to drag around and draw out our flight path for our ship. Once that's ready, we can go back to the ship and we'll tell it to move along the spline. So it starts following the spline. Of course, we're going to have to address some of the janky turns and whatnot, but I didn't have a whole lot of time. But it's something, at least. It moves at a certain speed, follows the path. Slow that down, it'll be a lot less janky, I think, and look more like it should. The turn's still really sharp, but it's following the path. All right. So I had an issue earlier where Unity would not enter play mode. So that issue was related to potentially Oculus startup. Pass-through mode. So I'm going to set this up so you can see how it gets set up. And then I will try and connect the headset. And then we'll try it. We're going to do it blind first. And I'll show you basically the process for setting this up. It's pretty easy. One thing I need to use of an ODH. No longer ODH, it's now MQDH. I'm just gonna go into device manager and I'm gonna turn off my Guardian. Second. So, oh, fireworks. Happy New Year. For those of you that have hit it, we still got a few hours. But the neighborhood has started with the fireworks. All right. And nothing. So essentially what I'm doing in here is I'm turning off the proximity sensor and I've got the boundary off already. So I do that. I hit double state on. And I should be able to go into QuestLink. But before we do that, we're going to check out a relatively new feature called building blocks that got released in a couple versions of the SDK ago. So we're going to keep the blueprint scene around, but what we're going to do is these are all cameras for mobile input, so we're going to turn those off. What we're going to do is we're going to go in and we're going to grab an Oculus camera rig. I'm just going to drop that right here in the scene. And okay, that's good to go. Let's stick that under cameras. All right, next thing we need. I want to turn on pass through, but it's not going to work anyway. But essentially, again, just going to drag that out there. Drop in pass through building block. Then we want controller tracking. We want hand tracking. And then what we want to do is we want a grabbable item. Just going to drag that out into the scene. All right, so here's our grabbable item. So I'm going to make that a hollow material. All right, so this is going to be my control brick, essentially. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to bind my spline controller to it. Write a quick bit of code for that. Let's see. I need platform utility. Oh, there it is. Transform tracker. This is the one I want. It's not part of the Oculus SDK. It's just part of the project. Trans tracker. That guy. And I want that to track my grabbable item. Oh, I'm on the wrong object. My transform tracker. That's going to track the grabbable object. All right. So, eventually, what that means is now when I grab this box, it's going to track out a path for my ship. And this on by default. It's set up to generate every 10 meters. We're going to run into some scale problems here, but we'll get there in a minute. Let's see. I think we'll probably end up just scaling the ship down if I haven't already. Yeah, scale it down to 0.2. So let's see what this looks like relative. Scene. So where's my tracker? Grabbable item. I believe that's already, yeah, it's already creating paths. I need to change, since the scale of this is a little bit different than I previously thought. I'm gonna have to change the spawner's distance. I'm gonna do that 0.2. There we go. Nice smooth curve. And the other thing I need to do is I need to add a couple button triggers so I can have things happen. I want to have the ship start moving when I press a trigger. And maybe I want to have a button control whether or not I'm drawing the path. I don't know if that's necessary. It might be useful though, because then I can get the initial position. I kind of want to put a grabbable on the ship itself. So let's do that too. All right, so we've got the grabbable item that is what will control the flight path, and then we'll do a grabbable item for flight path, and we'll do a grabbable item for ship. So that way I can grab my ship, move it freehand if I want to move it freehand. Okay. So essentially what this particular scene is for is it's going to be a test scene for testing flying your ship through an asteroid field in VR once you've built it. In fact, if we want, we can go ahead and give ourselves a space theme instead of the blueprint theme. Potentially. Cosmos, prefabs. Just let's give us something a little more interesting, a little more space themed to look at. Maybe. What did that do to my block? Broke the material. That's what I get for trying. Okay. Oh no no no. That's the wrong block. Okay. All right. Let's do this one hollow. Let's go with that one. Oh wait, no. Let's use the grabbables. There we go. Okay. Now we've got our two different grabbables. Movement. Save this. And then let's open up. Let's grab this one. There we go. It's not too bad. That'll work. Cubes. We've got our starship spawning. We need to add a tracker to the spawner. Should have something to just do a quick. Here we go. Over here button. Oh, it's not it either. Nope. Nope. Okay, I'll write the script for this. Event. I love Copilot. Set that to 1 as the default. Buttons down. Button next. Okay. So there are just a couple things we want this to do. I want to be able to set if we're following the spline or not. And we want to move to the nearest point on the spline. So this is the ship. We're going to make this the ship movement tracker. We're going to add a button event. So when I press the trigger, trigger, we will basically execute the path. So we will call this guy. We're going to call him twice. And we're going to turn off the tracker. So the spline follower, first thing we're going to do is we're going to spline follower, we're going to move to the nearest point on the spline, which actually already does the other thing I was going to have it do, which is rolling sprite to true. So we don't actually have to do this one. And then this one, we're going to call a transform tracker, and we're going to disable the transform tracker. So when we press the army hand trigger, it'll turn off the tracker, turn on the spline follower, the ship will move to the spline, and it'll fly. The flight path, the pass through, we want to, let's go to the button event. I want to do on held, essentially. You want to know when it's pressed, when it's released. Okay. When the button's released, as long as we're holding the button, which I think is going to be the one button, because the grip button is going to hold the block, and then the thumb, basically the A button is the one button, is going to control whether or not we're recording the path. So our waypoint spawner, we can keep it always tracking. There's no reason not to. But we can have this button event. We want unpressed and unreleased. And that's going to control whether or not the waypoint spawner is enabled. We'll start it disabled. So when it's pressed, we'll enable the waypoint spawner. When it's released, we'll disable the waypoint spawner. That should be it. I think we've got everything hooked up. Now we got to try and test this. And so I ran into a little bit of trouble with this earlier, where Unity basically wouldn't enter play mode. I had everything locked up and crashed. So I make sure we save. And then if the stream suddenly goes blank, it's very likely another BSOD. We'll see. Hopefully that doesn't happen. But I'm going to turn on the headsets. And we're going to see if that's going to work. So it's currently trying to connect to Link. And not doing so successfully. Change out the cable and make sure it's going over Wi-Fi. possibly trying a different headset. Okay, I think it may just be confused. That was again. It did crash on the headset earlier. This is why I wasn't sure we were going to get this done, but I wanted to try. Um, let's see if I switched to different headset, and maybe that'll work. Trying to run on the Quest 3. But we'll try it on the Quest 2. And then we'll use wired link instead of wireless as well. We can still go into play mode. Let's get rid of these extra cameras. Quest. Also not going to work. Right. I'm going to try and force the Quest 3 into wired link. Also, I haven't tried to do this while streaming, or at least not recently. That could be a factor. It went into link before the crash happened, and I think to fix it, I might have to reboot. And if that's the case, we'll just call it here, and then we'll pick this up tomorrow. All right, it still thinks Unity is playing. That's what's going on. So I have to do a reboot for this to work, which will take a while. I'm pretty sure. I wonder if maybe if I exit Unity, and then kill the link. Restart the link. I'm kind of doing this still just to get some documentation on what I'm trying, just in case I do get it working, and I'll be able to fix it the next time. All right, it's not gonna work. I'll do a quick. I'll see if I can get it to reboot really quick. And since no one's really watching right now, anyway, big boom. Oh, watching fireworks right outside. Right, I am going to reboot, and then maybe at least the video will have a complete cycle. So I will be right back. You won't be able to hear me for a couple minutes. And they're back. Test, test, test. Oh, good. Looks like audio is back. The problem, so I ended up, I'm trying something new with this setup, and the audio is going through my main PC. But I get better noise cancellation because it's got hardware for that versus a streaming rig. So you get better audio. I think I might set up a backup uh, mic on this device so that if we do get disconnected, I can switch over to junky audio while it's reloading. Okay, so just getting everything back up. I'll have to add bookmarks to skip this whole block of basically broken. Go from build to train wreck. Back over to Unity. So I'm gonna start OBS. Unity's back up. Okay, let's. Oh, good. It even came up with the both scenes loaded. I think that's new in 2022. I don't think it used to do that. I use a lot of additive scenes for my stuff now, just because it's easy to really to switch between uh, multiple platforms, go between VR and PC, and I can have a scene dedicated to each platform's input mechanisms, and then I separate the controls and the environment and all that stuff from general playback. Uh, hey, it launched. Yeah, so I just needed to reboot something with the crash from earlier. All right, let's cross our fingers and hope this launches. Good. Oh, it is. Yes. Sweet. All right. So you can see wired on it. Here. Now, lower. My hand tracking. We're going to use controllers. Where's, where to put the other controller? All right. So the ship is definitely too big. I think I probably want to knock that down another 50% at least. I think, yeah, it's too big for a room. So let's take the ship. See what happens if we divide that by 10. I think we're done with building blocks for now. I'll move that over here so it's out of the way. You can see what I'm doing. The game view. All right. Oops. All right. Yeah, that's respectable size. There you go. I'm going to cheat. So I'm sitting at my desk. A nice mount here to keep the headset steady so I can still use the controllers, but I can free up both hands. All right, so headset's over here. I think I need to, how do I do this? We'll stick something on the camera. It's easier to find. So now we know where the head is roughly. See my hands. I can change the textures on the hands. Since I can't stand looking at the purple, we're going to go ahead and do that. I want to get it on the hand. You could do that under, oops. Where is it? Right here. Give me my hands back. There are my hands. Do I'd follow. Not the right one. Oh, where are the right models for the hands? The bones. No, that was the right one. We should be able to maybe drop that there. All right. Well, we're just gonna have to live with the purple because I think I'm gonna have to do this outside of playtime for it to work. Okay. Anyway, back to what the plan was. Let's go ahead and we'll move the grabbables up into my field of view so I can maybe reach them. Maybe get them a little closer. And right up next to the hands. Enough gizmos, I think. Almost had it. And I do have. I can't remember which color does what. Okay. So orange is ship movement. The ship is not tracking because it thinks I have a button down, which I don't. Okay, so I press the trigger. Grab this. Oh, I have a problem. I don't think I have these set up to be grabbed by the controllers. I only have them set up to be grabbed by the hands. And if we're grabbing by the hands, we don't have the button. Controller, see if I can get the hands to come back. And take over. Rollers are down. There we go. There we go, hands. Okay. There we go. Grab the cube. This is kind of hard to do. Collar set up. So I have this set up so that I have two workspaces. One where the thing sits at desk level and one that and can float above me, and then one that I disconnect this hand. I should have more range of motion. If I can get my hand close enough. It's going to be entertaining to watch after the fact. I'm going to stand up and do this. Let's see. So ship. Let's make sure we're in a good state first. Move to the next target. Okay, so that's going to follow us around. Maybe I'll draw it out because it's just going to keep up with the cube because it's already caught up. Unless maybe I set the max speed to 0.1. See how that works. All right, we'll give this a try. I think there's still a bug in the code. So let's get this taller. Put this back on. Maybe we can see. Flight path is not updating. Turn off, which is fine. We'll turn off the button, turn on the flight path. No. Cube, drawing a flight path. Move the ship. Ship's following flight path. I should be able to just drag this around. We'll see it slowly, immediately following the path. Drawing out here and it looks really cool. Get the lasers. We'll do that tomorrow. We'll get this thing to actually get into a fight and look at this tomorrow. We'll figure out a better way to, just maybe we'll call my son to do some play testing for us. Turrets up there. Oh, I should have the turrets fire at the cube. That would be cool. All right, so turn off the gizmos, and then we'll let the ship start moving along its path. I think that's what we're calling it tonight. So we made some progress. The ship is following the path that I drew out. There are these little flips and flops. I'll work on that a little bit tonight, I think. So the ships will move smoothly, but it's following basically the path that we drew out, which unfortunately is hard to see with the gizmos at the scale they're at. You can kind of see it. The path smoothing happening there. But it's a good place to stop for the night. All right, everybody. Well, sorry about all of the bumps and hiccups. Like I said, it's been a good 10 plus months since the last time we did this. So, yeah, we got a little more learning, relearning to do to get back into this stream of things. We'll give it a try again tomorrow and see if we do a little bit better job.